Back at home, feeling misunderstood, and between these ears ain't nothing good.
Welcome back, Benchwarmers, to the far end of the bench with Jimmy Pilato and Nico Bryant. And we finished up talking about some NFL draft coverage that's obviously coming up. Thank you for listening to our partners, and thank you for listening to the show. Be sure to subscribe if you're not listening on the Unhinged Sports Network, and follow us at FEOTB Pod. All right, let's get into most dominant team of the week. And I'll let you start this one so we can let the people know who you thought was most dominant.
I went with the Nuggets. I'm excluding Sunday from this conversation because we did win 8 in a row.
Well, Sunday up until the fourth quarter, right?
Yeah, up until the fourth quarter. We've won 8 in a row. This team has been firing all cylinders. I think that there's no better team to put in this right now besides the other team, which you'll talk about here in a minute. But the Nuggets have been on a roll. Aaron Gordon, we're 7-0 with Aaron Gordon with braids. We're 0-1 with Aaron Gordon with the fro. So obviously, got to keep the braids, Aaron Gordon.
Yeah, just roll those things back up and get the cornrows going back again. I had the Nuggets as my most dominant team of the week last week, so they've been having a good couple weeks here on the podcast. My most dominant team this week, Colorado Avalanche, and they took over the league lead for points with 60 in 41 games. And at the trade deadline, they addressed every single hole that you could possibly bring up to say,
literally every single hole.
This is the reason why they won't be able to win the Stanley Cup, and they filled all those holes. So basically, it's Joe Sakic, but since he's a team guy and he was the captain, I'm going to give it to the team. The Avalanche are my most dominant team of the week. Not for anything they really did on the ice, but off the ice, they absolutely destroyed this trade deadline. A lot of our colleagues at the Unhinged Sports Network, Time to BS, as soon as they made that deal, was like, Jesus, really? Did you guys need this move to happen again?
Yes, we did.
Yeah,
Joe Sakic was like, you know what? I don't care. We definitely have holes. Let's fix those right away.
Yeah, we're just going to plug these holes now and win a Stanley Cup. That's all we're going to do. Benchwarmer of the week. So the high and the low now. And I'll go ahead and start this one out. Jeff Bridich. And it's mainly because last week he was getting some sympathy. Those text messages between Adam Wainwright and Nolan Arenado were getting people pissed off at Nolan. But then they went back out to San Francisco, which is a ballpark Nolan notoriously dominated at, and got waxed. So I really don't feel for Jeff Bridich at this point.
I mean, I don't hate that. We'll hear about that a little bit more here from me in a minute too. But my bench of the week, I'm going Bryson DeChambeau. The ham bone, man, look, he played really well on Saturday. He was at -4, had a slight chance of possibly making noise Sunday, but he shot like 5 over and had a terrible day. Bryson, the Masters is not a tournament you can hammer the ball 5,000 feet. This tournament is specific to certain players, and it's more about preciseness and how you get the ball to the cup, not how far you can hit the ball.
Yeah, this is a golfing tournament, not a long drive competition. You're not going to be able to put it from the tee to the green every single time.
And very similar to to my first Benchwarmer of the week, Bryson DeChambeau. Maybe I'll make this a yearly thing. Benchwarmer of the week always during the Masters is going to be Bryson DeChambeau because everyone has him as a top 5 favorite, and then he always falters.
Didn't he come out and say the course was a par 67 for him again? Didn't he say something like that? He said it in the fall, but then he doubled down and said it again. And after the ass kicking he took in the fall, I thought he would have learned. But
yeah, he did.
Apparently, he's not the smartest guy on the golf course.
Oh, who would have thought that? No, not me.
All right, that's Benchwarmer of the week this week. What's brewing now? Our partnership segments. What's brewing? Presented by the High Alpine Brewing Company. Follow them on social media at High Alpine Brew. I'll let you take this one first.
And my first one, Nolan's a bad guy now. Look, I'm not giving Bryce sympathy because the return we got was still shit. But Nolan's not a hero. Here in the Rockies, he's not. Look, as much as Bridich messed up the whole situation, Nolan didn't help himself out and was trying to actively get himself out of here. We were a wild card team 2 years ago. Don't you ever forget that. We went into Wrigley and beat the Cubs. And to hear stories about him wanting out then also does not give him that good satisfaction. He is not, he is becoming a villain, and Rockies fans, there's very few of us out there still, but Rockies fans should not be feel sympathy for Arenado anymore. Yes, Bridich and Monfort messed things up because of the return we got back from him, but Nolan, this is a situation of Andre Iguodala with the Nuggets. He was here because he had to. He wanted out for 3-4 years now, and he did not help himself out when we had a team that was good enough. So, as much as Bryce and Mumford fucked up and everything else, Nolan should not be claimed as a hero.
I don't know. It's not like the situation is new.
Getting highlights to an opposing pitcher about your team, that's as low as it gets right there. I'm telling you right there. I don't care if you're trying to get your team get out of there for whatever reason. That's as low as it gets. That's where I'm like, yes, he's a bad guy now.
I don't know. I'm on the side of the player over everything like that. And he said outright before they made it to the wild card that season, if they were not going to continually make an effort to be a playoff team, he was going to want out. So it's not like this was a new thing. I will say that it is kind of shady that he was sending the text messages, but they should have fixed it before it got to that point.
I agree with that wholeheartedly, but Nolan is not an angel in all this. That's where I'm
He's not as much of an angel, but I'm still not going to say that he's a bad guy. The
bad guy in Colorado sports media. I'm not saying he's a bad person.
No, I know.
But like a heel. You know what I mean?
I don't see him as the heel though. That's my other thing. I think that he did the best thing for him and his family and the team.
For him, you mean, not the team.
I don't know. It's a dying situation. We'll see what happens when Trevor Story gets traded to the Yankees later on this season. My what's brewing. There was a video of Mark Schlereth. Mark Schlereth pissed off Jets Nation. I didn't even realize that there were more fans of the Jets than just my brother. But he was saying, he's making fun of the Jets organization because they keep saying, well, now we have Robert Saleh and this general manager. It's going to be different this time. And Mark Schlereth's whole thing is, don't tell me it's going to be different. Make it different. And he pissed off the Jets fan base. So he responded by posting a video on his Twitter, which might be the most petty, but also the most beautiful clapback that I think I've ever seen on social media. He's wearing a Broncos helmet. He has 3 Super Bowl rings.
2 with the Broncos, 1 with the Skins.
2 with the Broncos, 1 with the Hogs, the Redskins back then. And he's wearing that Broncos helmet that he beat the Jets in the AFC Championship in the 1998 season. And he explains his reasoning as to why he said what he said about the Jets. And he's like, I'll tell you about the championship games and then the Super Bowl rings, and he had them on his index finger, his ring finger, and his middle finger. And he had the Redskins one on his index. He's like, no, it's not this one. This one's from '88. We beat the Lions in this one. And it's not this one. This was from '32 when we were an 11-point underdog with the Packers. It's this one when we were down by 10 to the Jets going into the third quarter, and we ended up beating them 28-10 in the AFC Championship and donkeyed them in the second half. So, word of advice, I went after Mark Schlereth. I'm not big enough that he even saw what happened. Don't go after Mark Schlereth. It doesn't end well.
Schlereth is one of the best clapbackers, pause on that, in NFL right now. I love all the rants he goes back and forth with. He loves going back and forth with some people on social media.
Yeah, if you tell him that he doesn't know anything, he's just going to send you a picture of the Super Bowl rings.
That's true. That's
all he has to do, really. And I've seen him do it because I've listened to his show at least every Monday and Friday for the past 6 years. Since he got on the radio here in Denver, I've been listening to his show. So don't swing at the king lest you miss and get absolutely roasted. And the Jets fan base didn't they deserved it, but it's kind of like kicking a puppy at that point.
That's true.
All right.
Not you, Rumor.
No, we're not gonna. I mean, you're making a lot of noise, but we're not gonna do anything like that to you. We allow it. That's what's brewing, presented by the High Alpine Brewing Company. Check them out if you're ever in the Gunnison area. They're at High Alpine Brew. Off the Hinges, presented by the Unhinged Sports Network. At Network Unhinged on Twitter, at unhingedsn on Instagram. I'll start with this one because I think that you got. Yeah, I want to give you a chance to go off on your Off the Hinges. I want to give you the chance to go off the hinges.
No pun intended.
Yeah, no pun intended. Didn't slip that one in. I'm not going to edit that to make it seem like that was my first attempt. Mine is the vocal members of society, basically fair weather fans, who are the ones who say, I'm not going to watch this sport because of X, Y, and Z. Or if you ever use the phrase, shut up and dribble, when an athlete gives his opinion on something. First of all, if your love of the sport is so fragile that you're okay with just not watching something because they made a statement that slightly doesn't go with your beliefs, you didn't deserve to be a fan of sports in the first place. Yes, I use sports as a way of getting away from everything else in the world, But the best part about the sports is that the athletes are human. And when you try and take away the humanity that they have and the ability to talk about the same thing that everybody else has the ability to do, give their opinion on a certain matter, whatever that may be, or make a statement somehow, it really, really drives me crazy, and it makes me upset because the only reason that it's okay to do that to these guys is because they make so many $1 million a year, and that's the way that as a society we start to see them as less than human. And it really sucks, because if that's how we treat those people, how are we expecting that there's going to be any kind of change happening anytime soon? If we can't get over the fact that these people make more money than me to play a sport and they can still have an opinion, still be a human being, it's a sad state of affairs to be living in if that's how we're going to be treating these people who try and use their platforms for good. Because I don't have a problem with anything, going back to even the kneeling thing. I don't have a problem with you trying to use your platform to make a statement if it's something you truly and wholeheartedly believe in is going to help. And for people to take away from acts like that and take away from the message that could help and bring, it's really shitty, and I'm kind of tired of it at this point.
Yeah, I don't hate that at all. There's definitely a lot of weird things going on about that. I can't disagree with that. For my off the hinges, I honestly want something a little bit similar. It's not exactly the same, but I'm kind of getting sick and tired of people putting down sports other than the top four. Or actually, honestly, you put the top five in there, because basketball, hockey, football, and probably soccer as well, baseball, top five. You don't count baseball, obviously, in the United States, but baseball nationally wide. I saw a lot of people hating on golf. And yes, golf is a sport where it's a country club sport, yeah, and people do it for certain times, but those guys work their asses off, and they bust their ass, and they don't wake up and just do that. They bust their asses off night in, night out to do stuff like that, to possibly get their winnings and be known as some of the best. Sports like golf, you can throw lacrosse in that sport that I played for so many years, and the amount of field fairies and butterfly catchers memes I've heard over the years from that go on and on.
I apologize for this.
That's just how it goes. And
I would say
you throw wrestling in there,
and like we mentioned earlier, tennis is
you throw tennis
very, very difficult. Like all these sports are.
Although one of the reasons I'm so high on this is because things like boxing, like what happened with the Jake Paul thing, and people trying to amateur fight and think that they can do anything, it's not reasonable. These people have been fighting or doing this their whole life, and it's time to stop disrespecting it. Like they are masters of the craft. One of the best athletes of all time in a single sport, in my opinion, is Tiger Woods, because of the amount of domination he had in the sport, and one of the reasons why he was such a great golfer for so long. Like when you think of some of the greatest athletes of all time, you think of players like Tiger, like Muhammad Ali, like Michael Phelps. All these players that weren't in the bigger sports that came out on top. Yes, the top five are more team-oriented sports, but these players deserve the respect and love that don't necessarily people give them, in my opinion.
Yeah, I told you when we were golfing, like I have such a newfound respect for the professional golfers and the fact that they can basically put it where they want off of the tee, and I have a very difficult time even getting it off the tee. It's the fact that just because I can't do something, or something I see somebody else doing well seems easy, doesn't mean that it is. Like there's not many people that can just pick up another sport like you were saying. Funny enough, you mentioned Jake Paul, because his next fight against Askren is this weekend, and that'll come up a little bit later on in our segments as well. But that's Off the Hinges, presented by the Unhinged Sports Network. Like we said, unhingedsn on Instagram, at Network Unhinged on Twitter, unhingedsn.airtime.pro, 24/7 live podcasting, sports podcasting coverage. All right, let's move on now. What's on your screen? And this one, I went with a little bit different one this week. This is presented by Fubo TV. Cut the cord. It's a great alternative to cable. And you get plenty of all the channels. You get a lot of live events, and there's different packages you can sign up for. On Saturday, as I was sitting after roasting in the hot sun on the golf course, I decided that since Disney Plus puts all the Marvel movies in timeline order anyways, I don't have an excuse not to have seen all of them anymore. So I started at Captain America, the First Avenger, finished it right before I came over here, and I'm going to be working my way through chronologically all of the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
It's about time, Jimmy. It's about damn time. As someone that loves the Marvel Universe, obviously I'm a little more DC guy. You are too. But Marvel has done a great job with it. I've been watching Falcon and Winter Soldier. That's a great show. You'll have to get to that eventually too.
That's going to be I think that's probably going to be like middle of next NFL season.
Yeah, that's true. But that's been a lot of fun to watch too. I don't hate that at all.
Yeah. I'm hoping to be on phase 3 by the time football starts.
I feel like you can at least hammer out 1 or 2 a week.
Yeah, and since I'm working from home, I can probably have it on while I'm working. The only issue is then, like, I'm on Captain Marvel right now, and I've never seen it before. So I could kind of just, like, have them on in the background for most of them. But I'm going to have to, like, block out all the ones that I haven't seen before and really sit down and pay attention.
That's fair. Okay, for what's on my screen, man, it's not necessarily what's on my screen. It's what my butt is going to be in the seats of. Is Wednesday night, man. We have the Miami Heat coming into Denver. And for everyone that is listening to this podcast knows that our guest, a lot of the time, Jeremy Fear, is a big Heat fan. And I'm going to tell you right now, the Nuggets are going to beat the Heat, and it's going to feel so bittersweet. I cannot wait to rub it into Jeremy's face when the Nuggets come in and dominate the Miami Heat here on Wednesday. It's going to be so nice. And then all the slack I got about how the Nuggets didn't even make it to the finals. How could you say they're better than the Heat? Well, Heat got through an easy conference. We had to go through the NBA champs. So, fire me up. Wednesday night's going to be a lot of fun. Nuggets are going to be clapping the cheeks of the East reigning champions Miami Heat, and I can't wait.
We went from beating the Heat to clapping the cheeks, so we're progressively getting more of an ass kicking as we go on. That'll be fun. You gotta let me know what Jeremy says when he listens to this. I'm sure because he's giving you shit as soon as we posted the golf swings on Saturday.
Oh,
so
he
likes to chirp at you a little bit.
Oh, he chirps at me every single day. What do you mean a little bit? I get chirps every single day from Jeremy.
We might get chirped by his burner account on Twitter as well.
That's true.
Which I've tried to expose before. If you know, you know. But
yeah, if you know, you know.
Not many people know. No, I like. I mean, I'm not gonna be watching that. Obviously, I have a busy slate in front of me now.
That's true.
So it's going to be difficult for me to watch any sports, but I figured I watched film enough for the past few weeks that I'm going to
take
switch
a little
it up.
bit of a break.
Yeah, and I know you breathe basketball. Same thing with me. I
breathe
watched
basketball.
Arch Manning play high school football, like Peyton's younger nephew.
I didn't even. Oh! I thought you said Archie Manning.
No,
I was
Arch
like,
Manning.
they had highlights when
I've seen his highlights, yeah.
Well, not his high school highlights. I didn't even.
No, probably.
I bet you can't even find those.
But Arch, the youngest nephew that plays at the same high school they did in Louisiana, that's how you are with basketball is how I am with football. I'll watch it.
We
no
have
matter
these
who plays.
bitches.
Yeah. That's what's on our screen, presented by the Fubo TV. Be sure to use the link in our bio at FEOTB Pod and sign up for Fubo. It helps out the Unhinged Sports Network as a whole. But yeah, that's our partnership segments for the week.